Hello, everybody. Halcrex here, and welcome to another Mercenary Thoughts from the Inner Sphere, episode 341. And today we're going to be talking about the 40-ton hover tank, the Gladius Medium Hovertank. Yep, seen a few of these in the games before, especially during the Jihad, and it's a couple versions of it. They didn't fare too well. They just when you're facing off mechs that have clan tech, it was like, oh, look at that, that thing got too close, bam, gone. But let's just delve into it. The Gladius, like I said, is 40 tons. It's an 812-0. Not very. It's very, 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 very seldom you're going to see jump jets on a vehicle, but it does happen. It has an internal combustion engine because it doesn't need it. It doesn't need a fusion engine. I suppose if you did put a fusion engine on it, you could put like a PPC on it. Standard PPC, that's a possibility, but it doesn't have that. Okay, so it does have, 5 tons? 6 tons. 6 tons of armor for 96 points. Not bad. It has 30, on the sides. Let me dig this thing up here real quick. Yeah, we got 30 in the front, 24 in the sides, and 18 on the rear. Doesn't have a turret. It's a point and shoot type of vehicle. So you go at your enemy with everything in the front. That's where you have your main weapon system, which is an AC-10. So basically, just think of this as a fast-moving tank destroyer, with an AC-10 on the front that just aims at its enemy, drives towards it as fast as possible, point and shoot, fire, move on to the next target. Don't stick around. That's pretty much how the Gladius works. All right. So you just hope that your speed will keep you alive. Now, as a 812, you're going to only have a 3 or 4 mod. And if you're facing off against decent pilots with skills and pulse weapons, these things just like incandescent warriors pretty quickly. But it is possible to do some damage before they disappear. So, basically that's how you use these things, is like just keep moving. Don't slow down. If you see a mech that you come up on, it's like, hey, we're going to try to get into like a right or flank or something, or left flank, depending on what direction you're coming in. You see a mech that has some holes punched into the sides, maybe an open torso, and you whip these guys around and fly towards it quick as possible, shooting everything you can in the meantime as you're going forward. And then when you finally reach your target, fire into it and just keep on moving. And then go back for another pass. It's basically like a bombing run is how you use these things. And the next version of it will pretty much sum it up in a nutshell. This vehicle comes in roughly at 580, or almost 590 points, a little shy of 600 battle value. So it's not overly cheap, but not overly expensive for a point and shoot type of, literally a point and shoot. You point at your target and just fly towards it and keep firing. And when you go past it, find something farther down range. You just keep the movement going. Eventually, you can turn around and come back for another pass if you got anybody alive. And that's basically how you use these things. Just keep them moving, keep them alive. That's the best you can hope for. Now, if someone gets into your flanks and your hovercraft, obviously the biggest problem with hovercraft is if someone gets into your right or left flank sides and they fire a weapon and hit you, look at it as having a +5 on the motive hit chart. So the minimum they're going to be rolling is a 7. And when you think about that, the minimum of a 7 is minor damage +1 mod to driving skills. So typically that's with snake eyes. And what is the average roll? 6, 7, and 8. So if the roll is 6, that's an 11, heavy damage, you're going to be half moving. Okay. And if you roll a 7, major damage, and this thing is shut down. It's dead right there, DRT, and the next turn it's guaranteed to be dead. So that's the problem with hovercraft, is that you got to keep them out of your flanks. Even that's the case. you look at the chart, there's quite a few places where, you know, it's like if you roll 2, 3, 4, 5, 9, any of those, you're going to find yourself with roughly a minimum of a 5, which, you know, if you roll snake eyes for the effect, that's no damage. But typically, if you roll a 3 or better, that's a minor damage, and then it just goes from there. So if you roll a average of 6, that becomes a 9, is moderate damage, -1 cruising speed. So the minimum typically is on most hovercraft is they're going to be slowing down. Every time I've ever played against hovercraft, that's typically the first couple hits. They either slow down or they just get half movement and then they die. So the only thing you can really hope for is just keep on moving. So my experience from many, many, many years of playing hovercraft. Now, there's another version of this little bugger, which kind of gets into the whole concept of this point and shoot with it. They downgraded the AC-10 that's on board for a light AC-5 autocannon. Okay. That only goes out to 15, still does 5 damage. You're losing no range with the light AC-5. You're just losing half your damage output. Okay. Most people can live with that, because what comes with it is a plethora of extra weapons. You're going to get 4, yes, you heard this, 4 more bonus pack weapons on board. This is, you're going to be seeing 4 light machine guns on the front, okay? And then you're going to have, you know, with a half-ton of ammo with that. So it's basically a light machine gun array sitting on the front, so you can shoot this 6 with that. So any infantry that gets in your way are going to have a bad day. So you just hose them as you fly by. Then it has 4 rocket launchers, 15s, which are one-shot weapons. You have 4 of these, 2 to the front, 2 to the rear. Why do you say, why do you have 2 to the rear? Okay, it makes total sense. Why? Because when you're firing and forgetting, you're just like flying up on a target. You're going to hit them with the, maybe, depending on the range, you will be firing the light autocannon as you're closing on your target. And when you get into the best firing solution possible with your rocket launchers, then you fire those. And as you go by, you fire again with your rear ones. Then they're done. This little bugger comes in at 613 battle value. So the whole concept of fire and forget, doing a drive-by, is the epitome of how this vehicle works. And I've seen them in action. That's what they do. The only fortunate thing is that once you fire your one-shot weapons, they're gone. But hopefully you do some good amount of damage to make up for the difference of the autocannon, and maybe you're still alive. Because let me tell you, you start running up close to any mechs or vehicles, they'll look over and go, okay, here they come. Let's just hose these things out as quick as possible. Which brings up the other thing. These little guys kind of nibble around the edges in the beginning of the game. Don't attract attention with them. You're going to be flying along, trying to go down a flank someplace, looking for some juicy targets in the rear with the gear. And then you just like, okay, whoa, okay, we're moved into like the mid-game, like turn 5 or 6, when things are really fully engaged. And the mechs are like, oh, we got bigger, juicier targets in front of us that are more dangerous than these things. And they'll maybe ignore you. Most of the time they do. And then you just go do your drive-bys. And then once your weapon systems are all blanked out, and all you got left is your machine guns and your light AC, autocannon, 5, and you just kind of zip around and look for targets of opportunity and do your damage best you can. So there's that. Pretty much. That sums up the Gladius. It's not a really fancy loadout when it comes to a vehicle, but it can cause some severe havoc, especially when you're looking at, you know, for the cost of maybe a more advanced Battlemech, you could have a lance of these things zooming around. Hey, it might be worth a shot, especially during a jihad. If you're playing the Wobs, you probably will see these guys causing a little bit of havoc in games. And I played as the Wobs and I played against them, so I've seen them on the table. And that's pretty much too many guys that were using them were trying to use them as slow-moving tanks. They'd fly up, get on somebody, and slow down, and then they just get vaporized. And I would say, hey, you got to speed those things up, keep them moving. And like, I know what I'm doing. And then next thing, like, I don't have anything to play with now. I'm like, ugh, I told you. All right, so that's the Gladius. Hope you guys like it. Like and subscribe, share it with friends, and we'll see you in the next one. Elcrex out.